Hey guys, Cam for 15 back at it with another video for you guys, and I'm back with another Chicago Bears news update video for you guys as I'm going to make this quick little video before I get to work. Now, the reason why I didn't do a video about Deandre Swift basically being signed to the Bears and this Justin Fields talk that's been going on, as of yesterday. It's simple. I was at work basically the entire day. I get home and I was tired and I wanted to play some video games too, and I'm just too lazy to get to the video. So, that's kind of the thing right then and there. Now, regardless, I'm gonna do this video before I get to work, so that's kind of thing. That's why you didn't see no intro and outro because I don't have time to edit the video on my own time, anyways. The Bears made a move, and they made the move in terms of getting a running back, and that's signing Deandre Swift to a 3-year, $24 million deal. Um, a deal, really, to be honest, that for a running back nobody expected. Nobody expected the Bears to go after Deandre Swift. I don't think any Bears fans particularly thought they were going after Deandre Swift. Bears were basically kind of being linked the last few weeks to Jacobs, who ended up going to the Packers, and then Saquon Barkley, who ended up going to the Eagles and getting a massive payday. Now, if you're wondering, okay, why didn't we get Josh Jacobs Josh Jacobs or Saquon Barkley? Look at what the Packers and the Eagles are paying them. The Bears were not going to pay that type of money to those running backs. Especially not Saquon Barkley. I'm actually kind of glad they didn't pay Saquon Barkley that type of money the Eagles are paying him. Like, even though Saquon's good, but he's had a lot of injuries, and the fact that the Eagles are paying him that type of money, listen, who knows? That's only going to probably incentivize Derrick Henry to get that type of money now, because he's like, well, Saquon get that. I'm another great running back out there on the market, so can I get all those? Get all that stuff guaranteed and things like that. But regardless, I like the decision to sign Deandre Swift. And he's a nice, solid running back who, he was all right in his days or in his years in Detroit. But I really felt like injuries hampered him, and he really truly never got a full opportunity to show what, he had capable in Detroit. He traded him to Philadelphia, and after his year in Philadelphia, that was kind of his breakout year, and that was kind of the good, and that was great for him. I didn't even know he was a free agent at all. I thought he was on Philadelphia again, but he was a free agent. And the one thing about him is he's a good pass catcher, good pass catching running back. I don't know how he is in the ball in terms of pass blocking, but I would envision he's probably a solid pass blocker. That's basically the reason why the Bears signed him, and they signed him at a nice, decent price too. It's simple. They need a pass catching running back to come out of the backfield, the pass catch for the quarterbacks whenever they need a check down. That's what DeAndre Swift did most of last year for the Eagles. When Jalen Hurts had nothing to go to, he would always check it down, and DeAndre Swift would get some solid yards. Listen, it's plain and simple to see what the Bears are doing. More than likely, they're probably gonna move off on Khalil Herbert, and it's gonna be the tandem of Swift and Roshan, and maybe a third running back, whoever they decide to get. Um, Honestly, after the fact that with the Packers freaking draft or signing Aaron Jones, or Packers cutting or signing Josh Jacobs, and then in relative fashion they ended up cutting Aaron Jones. I kind of wish that maybe the Bears didn't do this deal so quick, because then it's like, well, then damn, let's actually go out there and let's go get an Aaron Jones. But then again, Aaron Jones, as of this morning, signed a 1-year deal with the Vikings, so the bad part is he's not gone relatively. You just hopefully the Bears just don't get killed by Aaron Jones as a Viking, as they always did as a Packer. But hey, he's on a 1-year deal. Maybe you give some intrigue, even though at that time, even though he'll be an older back. Regardless, maybe you give him a solid contract and like, hey, come over here, and torment the Packers or something like that. But regardless, I think this is a nice move. He's a nice pass catching running back, something that Khalil Herbert really isn't good at. Let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. Khalil Herbert isn't a good pass catching running back. It's simple. And that's been his issue ever since he got to the league. And that's kind of been the issue of why he hasn't been, a complete number one back. So hey, you'll take it. You will take it. And then Deandre Swift, he is a pretty hard runner. So it's gonna be interesting to see how he fits into this Bears scheme and everything. So I like the decision. I like the move to go after him. I don't, some Bear fans will be kind of like, well, yeah, I guess it's an all right move, but we really should have went after Jacobs or Barkley. But I'm like, you're not paying all that money to a freaking running back up against your cap space. You're not doing that. And again, Deandre Swift is fine. If they went after Saquon Barkley, I would have had no problem with it, unless you sign him to a relatively cheap deal. The issue is with Saquon, he's always injury prone. So if you sign him to that crazy money, and he gets hurt most of the time in his Bears tenure, well then that's a waste of money, spend it. So that's going to be something for the Eagles to watch for if he's getting hurt and everything. And then Jacobs, he had a pretty down year. I understand he was with the Raiders and with Josh McDaniels and things like that, but even then he had a down year, and he probably didn't, want to get that money that he thought he was going to make. So it's going to be interesting. Hopefully the Bears can actually shut Josh Jacobs down and actually not make him be a big problem for the whenever we play the Packers. Now the last and final topic I'm gonna get on today is the Justin Fields situation, the Justin Fields news. Now, the Bears didn't make any deals in regards for quarterback Justin Fields, and obviously you had Bear fans reacting on Twitter in a normal fashion, aka no, they didn't react in a normal fashion, because you had Bear fans freaking out and Bear fans just saying to the Colt, or not the Colt, but the fan base that wants to keep Justin Fields, the Fields fan base, they say, see, this shows you why no teams want Justin Fields, because he ain't a good quarterback and things like that. And that's how much teams value him, because they saw Kirk Cousins going to the Falcons, which that was a 50-50 thing if he would go there or the Vikings. Russell Wilson goes to the Steelers. Gardner Minshew goes to the Raiders and everything. All these other people are getting picked up, and you have basically the people that want Caleb Williams are like, see, this should show you the market of why Justin Fields isn't as good. This should show you how the NFL views Justin Fields. He ain't a good quarterback. Well, you have the Fields fan base essentially firing back saying, no, this means he wasn't going to be more than likely be traded. This only shows us that more than likely Foles is going to keep him. Listen, at this point where I stand on the situation, I'm 50-50. If we keep Fields, I'm fine with it. If we get Caleb Williams, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. At the end of the day, I'm a Bears fan. I ain't a player stan. Trust me, I'm a Clippers fan, and we have a bunch of player stands because we got all these great players on our team right now. And it gets annoying. But I would love it if Justin Fields were to stay a Bear, because I don't think the Bears did right by him, and I think they screwed him over, and they really never gave him a fair shot. But you can make the argument why you could just restart the whole process. Now, what is the real reason, or the true reason? Because let's be honest, this is the truth. What is the true reason as to why Justin Fields has not been traded by the Bears yet? It's basically one of three outcomes, thinking about it. Number one, probably the most obvious and easy one to guess, the Bears are not interested in trading him, and they're still holding their cards on to whatever stuff if they've already made a decision on the quarterback situation. That's plain and simple right then and there. You're not going to trade him if you have no aspirations to trade him. Plain and simple. And I understand there was a report from this guy, Mikey Bear Down Cuz, who said that Justin Fields will be returning to the Chicago Bears. And that blew up and everything. Maybe I'll do a separate video talking about that or whatever. But honestly, at this point, kind of addressing it. But that's kind of the thing. So, yeah. Number two, they're still, I guess, indifferent. Or they still don't know. So that's why. and they're still doing their homework and their research on the quarterbacks in the draft. They still got to do that, right? And then last three, and then the final point, which kind of cuts into the thing I just made a mention about. It's simple. Um, they still need to, quote unquote, find out if Caleb Williams is their guy. Are they sold on Caleb Williams? Now, Ian Rappaport on NFL Network literally came with a report yesterday talking about essentially the fact that the reason why the Bears haven't traded Justin Fields is because there's no market for Justin Fields because they haven't put him out on the trade market yet. And essentially, he also follows up in that same little short stint saying, like, they still need to get their homework done on Caleb Williams to truly see if he is that guy for them. Now, if you're wondering, wait, why do they need to figure out if Caleb Williams is the guy? They should just freaking take the guy. They know, but see, this is where the idiocracy of Bear fans are absolutely stupid. They just look at the clips and the highlights and everything, and all the great plays he made at his time at Oklahoma or USC, and they think, well, that justifies it well enough to draft him. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Just the highlights alone and the good plays the dude made in college isn't enough. It's clear that the reason why Ryan Poles is not sold on Caleb Williams yet is because he wants to get this guy into the building. He wants to understand him. He wants to interview him. He wants to make sure he gets to know this guy as a person, get a better understanding of his character. Now, yes, even though his teammates and several other coaches and people around him and say this is a guy of high integrity, high character, he wants to go out there and he wants to win our football games and things like that. You shouldn't have to judge his character. Well, yeah, they may say that, but Ryan Poles might not care about what they have to say. That's nice stuff, but he probably wants to get to know Caleb Williams on a personal level and find out, okay, is this guy a lead? Do I envision this guy being the future of the Chicago Bears? Do I envision this guy being a leader of this locker room? Because that's one thing we don't know yet. We know Justin Fields, he is a leader in that locker room and the players have his back. Now, obviously, Jalen Johnson yesterday in his press conference after signing his contract extension talked about the business portion and whatever quarterback we get, we're gonna stand by that said quarterback, which is the right thing to do because they understand it's a business at the end of the day. But Ryan Poles has to understand and he has to do his due diligence. Remember, Bears fans, he has to do his due diligence to find out if this guy has good character. Because if this guy doesn't have good character and he comes to Chicago and he's having off the field incidents that then interrupts the stuff that he does on the field, well, then you will have made a bad draft pick, especially if you trade Justin Fields. He ends up starting somewhere and he ends up taking his career off somewhere. While you're stuck with Caleb Williams, he starts struggling because of off the field incidents he keeps getting himself into trouble with. And on top of it, Ryan Poles got to ask a lot of questions. They got to get his medicals. He did not give his medicals at the combine. They only had like a 10-minute or an hour conversation. A 10-minute interview. That's not enough time because Caleb Williams will be meeting with other teams as well too. So Caleb Williams didn't give his medicals at the combine. He only had a 10-minute conversation with the Bears. That's not enough time. And then on top of it, this is what the Caleb fans are who are Bear fans who are the Caleb fans saying the Bears need to draft Caleb. Caleb Williams is to blame for this too. Let's just call a spade a spade. Caleb Williams is to blame for this too. Because guess what? Ryan Poles and his staff wanted to have an interview and a meeting and stuff set up in Chicago after the combine. Immediately after the combines, before free agency starts, so then they can truly get their answer. More than likely, it's like, okay, we're sold on the talent. We need to bring this guy in, to get a good understanding of him. We need to ask the questions. Like, wouldn't a good question be like, we need to understand who are you represented by? Are you being represented by your father, who's very out there and everything, or do you have your own personal agent that isn't aligned with the NFL or something like that? Who do you represent? They can also ask, listen, what happened last year. You were great. You were great you were great your freshman year at Oklahoma. You were great your sophomore year at USC, and then your junior year, it's like it wasn't as good. You were still good, but clearly you guys didn't put up the results. What happened predominantly after that Notre Dame game, after you guys were looking so good? You still got to get a good question. He has to answer those questions. Like, okay, what happened? How did he deal with that adversity throughout that time? Obviously, I would envision Shane Waldron would do chalkboard stuff with him and run through some plays and things like that and make sure, okay, are you paying attention to what we're telling you? Are you picking up on things good enough? Or at a high enough level so then, we can put you out there on the field potentially. They also got to go, that's basically all the things. They got to get his medicals. Everything that they have any question marks on about Caleb Williams, they need to bring him in. And again, going back to the blame of Caleb Williams, this was Caleb Williams' fault. Let's call a spade a spade. You may like Caleb Williams if you're a Bears fan. You want the Bears to draft him, but you got to blame Caleb for this. And you have Bear fans talking about, like, why couldn't we trade Justin Fields? He should lower the price. Look, you're not going to trade Justin Fields for a low enough draft pick. He goes somewhere, he takes his career off, and then guess what? You only gave up Justin Fields for a 7th-round draft pick. You're going to look stupid, especially if Caleb Williams ends up becoming a bust. You're not doing that. That's a bad deal. You want to at least get some solid compensation in return. Predominant, and I would envision the polls views Fields in a trade for a high 2nd round or maybe a mid 2nd round, if not a 3rd round pick, which is fine enough for me. I think he's worth that. Y'all Bear fans say he's not worth a high 2nd round pick, but the potential of the talent alone shows that that he can be worth a high 2nd round pick, which is essentially still a 1st round pick in a weird way. So that's kind of the thing right then and there. But the Bears got to still do their homework, And going back to the whole conversation, the Bears wanted to have this meeting set up, but Caleb Williams basically is like, no, can't do this. I'm going back home, and I don't want to do the whole thing of going back to LA, only to fly to Chicago, only to fly back to LA, which makes absolutely no sense. Like, his representation should be telling him, listen, go meet these people. They're clearly having you come in to get to know you, to see if they want to take you number 1 overall. Go visit these people. Don't know why Caleb Williams' representation is doing this, but in a weird way, Caleb Williams is effing over the Bears because the Bears want to get their decision made, and he's kind of stalling that. So blame him for this issue. I know the radio heads on Chicago, they're gonna be talking about like, oh, Ryan Poles is so stupid and he should have been traded Fields because they want Ryan Poles to fit their narratives instead of somebody. And I bet you if somebody was a call, they would say, listen, blame Caleb Williams for all this nonsense. If he didn't cancel or if he didn't have to postpone his meeting after his pro day with the Bears, well, guess what? The Bears might have already had their decision ready. And that's plain and simple. The Bears won't meet this guy till after his pro day because he didn't want to fly to Chicago. In reality, he should have flew to Chicago after the combine, had their meetings and things like that, get everything out of the way. The Bears have their decision. They know going to the free agency, okay, we're going to more than likely trade Fields and we're going to take Caleb Williams. At that point, that would have been very obvious. Maybe you give it a day or two where you have all the moves happen and then you trade Fields. And then that's when, okay, they're taking Caleb. So, that's the thing. But they're going to have to wait till after the pro day, which, all right, I guess that's fine. But listen, what does this also mean for Justin Fields? Right now, there's not really a lot of places he could potentially go to. He potentially could get traded to Denver. He could potentially get traded in division. I don't see that happening to Minnesota. Maybe the Patriots is still a case because they got Jacoby Brissett, but let's be honest, Justin Fields is better than Jacoby Brissett. Other than that, maybe the Saints if they're not sold on Derek Carr, but most of these other options he would get traded to, he'd probably be the backup quarterback. So I don't know. I wouldn't know. Now here's the thing that some Bear fans might not bring up. What if we just keep Fields and they just draft Caleb Williams? And they do the Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes treatment. They sit Caleb Williams for a whole season, and they have Justin Fields essentially play one full season under one final full season with the Bears, and then guess what? The following year, you have Caleb Williams takes over the reins after sitting for one full year, And then you have Justin Fields just go separate ways and just be like, listen, thank you for everything you've done here. We did the best we could, but we just didn't do right by you. Go find yourself a new home. Now, obviously, that would create an interesting locker room dynamic in the locker room, and things like that. And I guess in a weird way, it would make it where Fields is always watching over his back because you don't know, all right, if this coaching staff is sick and tired of me, they'll probably play this dude. But if they do that decision, they go that direction, the Bears need to do the smart approach and just be like, listen, Justin, I think it's clearly obvious what's happening here, and they got to be transparent with him. And they just got to tell him, listen, I know what's happening, and this may lead to you not playing as hard as the next guy, but hey, here's the thing. Go out there. We're going to take Caleb Williams, but we're also going to keep you. The plan is that we're going to go with Caleb Williams for the future. Yes, we could have found you a trade partner, but we want to make sure you get one more full season with the Bears, honor your contract, and get good tape out there. And we want to do right by you, I guess, in that weird way, and get good. So we're gonna have you play. We're gonna try to have you play at a high level, so then you can get good tape out there. So then the team is willing to sign you next year to potentially be a starting quarterback for them. And that could be the thing. While Caleb Williams sits behind him, he learns the playbook. He learns, and then, like I said, if the Bears, for some odd reason, they don't make the playoffs next year, if they do make the playoffs and they clinch a spot, that last game, regular season game, you could probably have Caleb Williams start, and do that a la what Patrick Mahomes did. But again, who knows? We'll see. Personally, if he gets hurt, would they put Caleb Williams in? Honestly, I would do the thing where it's like, no, you don't put him in. You don't put him in. He doesn't touch the field until next season, if you're going to go with that strategy. So I would rather put in Tyson Bagent before I would go a Caleb Williams. But we'll see. We will see what the Bears do. It's going to be a very interesting decision and definitely exciting to see. But that's really, truly the true reason as to why the Bears have not traded Justin Fields yet. You can refute my point. You cannot accept my point. But at the end of the day, that's the cold-hearted truth. Caleb Williams, in a weird way, kind of screwed the Bears over at the end of the day. They wanted to have their meeting early on before free agency. Caleb Williams was like, nope, I want to have it after my pro day. Personally, the Bears hold all the cards and they can be just done with him. But again, Ryan Poles wouldn't be doing his due diligence. So, yeah, and listen, at the end of the day, that could come out as an issue, or that could come up as a red flag for the Bears. Be like, we wanted to have this schedule, but you wanted to cater to your own needs instead of just doing right and things like that. Again, I don't know why his representation didn't just tell him, go out and go seek these guys, go talk to them. They're blowing their time, their special time, to look at other prospects potentially, so they can talk to you to potentially see if you were their guy. I personally would have made him do that. I'm like, damn the flight. Who cares? It ain't gonna hurt. I'm like, trust and believe. I went to school out in Connecticut. Even though I hate that flight from Connecticut to frickin' Los Angeles, it's a long flight, but like, regardless, at the end of the day, do it. But anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. Catch you guys next video. Whatever more Bears news comes out, I'll report about it and I'll put it on the video and things like that. Till then, guys, peace.